Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Crystal. I am your hostess, Crystal. Thank you for joining me again this evening. I have another wonderful guest for you tonight, and that is Greg Nunan from Greg Nunan and the General Jacksons. Howdy, Greg. How are you today?
I'm great, Crystal. Thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. I feel really lucky to be speaking to you because you're so high up in the blues industry, like in the blues genre and the industry, that it's a great honour for me to be speaking with you. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. No, it's going to have some fun. This will be fun.
I like having fun, as you will see. Now, I've introduced you as Greg Nunan and the General Jacksons. So would you like to tell everybody a little bit about your band?
All right. Well, the band General Jacksons it's been a four-piece for a number of years. Liam Chandler on drums, Mark Holbert on bass. We've previously had two prominent guitarists, Felix Akarangi, who moved up to Queensland with his family not that long after COVID all settled down. And we also had Billy Barnett on guitar, alternating with Felix, filling the gigs. So four-piece, and the General Jacksons name come about after doing some research on some different names. There's a showboat out of on the Mississippi, out of Nashville, Tennessee, over in the States, called the General Jackson. And it's a showboat where they've got all sorts of different touring acts performing on that, from bluegrass, country, blues, rock and roll. And I could relate to that. As our sound. We pull a lot of different influences together to find our own version of blues, soul, rock and roll. And hence we went with that name.
I love it. I think it's just, it's a really good name, and I'm glad that you did some research and just didn't go into it without, really delving into what it would mean to have that name. So I think that was a great idea.
One funny thing I could tell you is we played the boat shed in Manly here in one evening, and these guys from America come up front of stage and said, "General Jacksons, we love the name. We're from Nashville." And as soon as I said that, I knew they were knowing about our name from the General Jackson. And I got off stage later, and they said, "Yeah, that's an amazing boat, man. Have you been on it?" I said, "No."
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool to have that acknowledgement, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, it was. Definitely.
Now, you guys, do you write all of your own music?
Yes, we write all our own music and choice covers that complement what we play as well. So we're not shy to
experiment, maybe.
That's exactly it. Experiment but we the albums that we've released are all our own music. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And a little bit later on, we're going to break and add a couple of your tracks in, which I'm very excited about everybody listening to.
Yeah.
So we can talk a little bit more about that later. Now, how long have you been in the industry?
Well, I remember moving down to Melbourne. I grew up on a big farm, northern Victoria, and I went down to Melbourne for last year of schooling and went into university. And I was already gigging when I was 16, 17.
Awesome.
So by the time I went down to Melbourne, it was like, get the gloves off, let's get serious.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot going to gigs with Jeff H and Dutch Tilders, a couple of blues legends. And they used to run jam nights, and I was a young disciple, and I learned as much as I could with the likes of Lloyd Spiegel attending, Ash Grunwald, and a raft of different players that were, just still playing the scene.
Yeah.
Just doing the best we could.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so from 16, like you must have started playing like really young.
I remember the summer actually. Look, because I'm youngest of seven, and my eldest sister, 11 years older than me,
Yeah.
she brought her fiance home one particular Christmas, and he used to always bring his guitar. And we had a guitar laying around the house. We had a piano as well. But I idolised him, and he could see watching him on the guitar, and he showed me how to play one summer. He just taught me how to teach myself, and by the next summer he was like, "Whoa, you've been playing,"
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
that's just how it starts. So it's probably around about 12, 13
Right,
uh,
right.
when I first started to really get into it.
And
Yeah,
when did you get your first guitar of your own?
I it would have been my 13th birthday that I got my first steel string guitar because I was using my brother's nylon string, which is better for the fingers.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, but he was just getting annoyed with me playing it all the time. So, so mum and dad, they got me a guitar. Yeah, then at 13,
Hmm.
and then that year, I played my first performance because they 5 years older than me. They turned 18,
Yeah,
and they had their celebration at the local pub, the bottom pub in Cobram,
yeah.
and they had that night. Jim Owen was touring Victoria.
Oh, yeah,
He did a
cool.
yeah, and he had a an Irish band supporting the evening playing. And my brother said, "Mate, for my birthday present, I want you to get up and play some music." And so I did. That was my very first live performance on guitar. And
Wow. Can you
yeah,
remember what you played?
I do. I played La Bamba,
Oh,
Richie
awesome.
Valens.
Nice. Now,
Yeah,
did you sing it as well?
I did. I did. Well, funnily enough, I that night I'd been in a school musical, and
Hmm.
I'm laughing because I was the Indian envoy. So I was like in a turban, and I had like this coffee cream to make me look the part, and it was a really funny script and localized show, um, and and they actually put on extra shows because it sold extra tickets. But mum that night said, we're going to be down the top pub, so just clean yourself up and make your way down there and get the ride home with us." And that's how it happened. I was, I must have stunk to high heaven of coffee, but I got up
Oh
and
dear.
played La Bamba in front of this crowd.
And
My brother was
I
great.
bet they all loved you as well.
They did. Like I was just nervous as hell. I was shaking, but I'd played that song to death because they had
Oh,
that. It was around the time that the story of
this,
Richie Valens and Los
yeah,
Lobos, playing that music and that movie.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was that. So that's where it started.
That's fantastic. You know, how blessed to have not only so many other siblings, but ones that are musical as well, because it was bound to rub off on you.
Oh, it was. Look, I think my brother's just been such a supporter of my music over the years. I've been overseas. He's even travelled over to be on the tour with me, and and that you can't underestimate that early influence.
Absolutely
Honestly,
not. Yeah, absolutely
yeah.
not. So, how many people in your family play an instrument or sing?
Well, not all. I mean, my mother and father never sang or played an instrument. They were wondering where I got it from.
Right.
Um, but my sister tried to teach me a bit of guitar when I was 6, and I just didn't want to have a bar of it. So she was a bit musical. My other sister, she's a great singer, and my brother, he dabbled a little bit, but I just went both feet,
Yeah, good on you.
um, pretty quick on it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, would you say that your family was your earliest influence to get you playing, of course, with that nylon string guitar? But what about other music that may have been around? Because having other siblings, they would have been playing, the music of the day.
Totally.
So was there something in
Oh yeah,
there?
yeah. Totally, absolutely. Like my sisters, because they were the eldest, and they were, I guess, the big influence on the rest of us. They um, they were listening to Deep Purple,
Of course.
Status Quo, Led Zeppelin, um, some pretty good rock and roll stuff, and they really that was their cup of tea. Probably late '70s, early '80s. They didn't really get into that the '80s sort of style of music.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty loyal to the rock and roll,
Yep.
and that heavily influenced the style of music that I mean, I remember my brother bringing home this box set of blues greats,
Oh,
and that really was like, oh wow, what's this?
yep. How
And
lucky. That's awesome.
I remember the day I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan. It just changed my life. I was
Yeah. Were you like, I want to be that guy?
Yeah, it, it was it was something really cool and attractive about it. It was so strong yet, and I heard Hendrix in it, but it wasn't Hendrix. I'm like going, wow, because my mate just put it on. We just went up to his cool room after skateboarding,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just put on some music. I went, who's this?
Yeah.
And he said Stevie Ray Vaughan. I said, oh, I thought he was like a classical guitarist. I said, no, man, just check this out. And I had to have that tape that
Oh,
day. And
absolutely. That tape, I like that.
yeah, tape. I high speed dubbed that onto a fresh tape of mine at home and then chewed through that. And I just couldn't stop listening to it and learn it. I just had to, that's from
And you were learning it off the tape.
off the tape. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's we've been so blessed with all of these great guitar players like Hendrix, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, like oh gosh, his name just went out of my
Totally.
head. All of those greats.
Totally.
Like, wow, how lucky
Yeah.
are we to be able to, have the music being transferred from record to tape to CD to MP3 or WAV or and
Yeah.
and on the platforms that we can get it now. I think we're very spoilt.
I
You know.
I think so. I think in ways it's I've likened it to like there's two styles of eating out in a way. You can go to a Chinese restaurant where there's so much to choose from. I'm a bit like I'm really hungry. I'm not sure what I'm like. I don't know what I'll like.
Hmm.
And I've had the experience as no doubt everybody else where you there's a chef that comes out and just tells you what he's going to feed you or she's going to feed you. And like it's in a way I think sometimes we're too sport for choices in some ways. Sometimes we need to just focus a little bit more. But on the other end of the scale, though, the vast talent that's out there that possibly would not have heard of because they're not with a major label or what have you.
Yeah,
It's pretty
exactly.
unbelievable, you know.
Exactly. So, Greg, now I know you play the most delicious guitar.
Thank you.
Do you play other instruments?
I do. I I love playing drums.
Hmm.
Um, I really love. I probably would have considered myself a drummer before, even a guitar player. I love the drums that much, but it was never going to happen in our household. I think it was just too obnoxious for my father,
Yeah.
and so the guitar was the glove, and that's fine. But my very first band I played bass for.
Oh, cool.
There's three guitarists, and I knew the other guys really wanted. And I said I'm happy to play bass.
Hmm.
Um, so I got a good sense of playing bass, as does George Regatos, who we were just talking about earlier
Yes.
before press record. He's a fantastic bass player.
He sure is. He's
Yeah,
fantastic at everything.
yeah, he actually is.
He is.
he's,
No,
he's
no,
class.
no talking that up. He just is.
He
Yeah.
sure is.
And you know who
Yeah.
else is really good too? Billy Barnett.
Oh, he's just phenomenal, and it's just been so so cool to uh, have gigs with Billy where you see the direct effect he has when he's in the zone on other people. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you were talking about the first band you were in. So was that a band you put together or you joined that band?
It was me and three other mates, and we used to hang out a fair bit, and were able to jam at my farm. And we said, well, let's write songs and let's do gigs, and we did. We had a number of different cover songs, and we played some different pubs. Being on the Murray River, there was houseboat parties we played as well on the
Nice.
Murray River.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just formative times where you go, wow, how cool is this? We're playing a gig and just got the taste of what it was like, that you were in control of putting a performance together.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, isn't it? There's really nothing like it.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. Nothing
No,
like it.
no.
Nothing quite like it.
So those early songs, it was a collaboration.
It was. Look, the main guy, my main mate of the time, he lives down in Melbourne now. We're touring down there next week, and I'll get to catch up with him. Andrew Carr, he was great at writing songs, so he penned most of them,
Hmm.
and I was coming up with some riffs, and we started to forge some songs together. But he was on the front foot with that first, and I think what that did with me was, I guess at that age we're a bit competitive, but it really
as
pulled my
as
head in,
boys are.
as boys are, and it got me into firing up the jets and going, well, we can't have him writing all the songs, so. But he was really really good at it, and I think I learned a lot from that. And he actually had a little bit more experience in playing in another band, so he did have a little bit more experience than me. He was playing drums for that band too, so um, it's interesting how that can fire you up.
It
You go,
is.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And how old would you say you were when you were in that band?
Would have been 14, 15.
Wow, how cool is
Um,
that? 14 or 15 playing in pubs.
Yeah, well,
Love
that's
it.
the beauty of having older brothers. He had an older brother too, and they were quite happy to take us. And he's the youngest, and I was the youngest. And thankful for older brothers and sisters who,
Hey.
numbed mum and dad to the senses of us being in places we shouldn't have been.
Now, how long did that band go for?
Oh, that would have just gone for a couple of years max.
Yeah.
Because I remember, yeah, I was to head down to Melbourne. I was 17, and we had a big going away party at the shearing shed. And yeah, so I just packed it all up then. But we ended up, me and Andrew Carr, started the band down in Melbourne. That we did pretty well. We had Warner Music were interested in us, so we ended up getting distribution with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up leaving the band to head up north. I
Mm-hmm.
was travelling around and playing on the road up there, and I
Fabulous.
just I just felt I had to get out, and that's when I was on the road and playing in different places like in Queensland, and then come back down and settle more in Newcastle,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
but it was playing music for full time for a living.
How good
Uh,
is that?
oh,
How good is that? Now, those early years of travelling around regional Australia and such, you would have come across some rowdy crowds, yeah?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now, being,
Newcastle's a wild town. I
is it?
remember some. Oh, I've had some wild shows there. Oh, definitely.
How did you handle it being a young chap and, being faced with that?
Oh, you learn a lot. You just. I think one of the things is you just keep going on
Yeah,
with the show. I
yeah.
remember we played the Great Northern, me and a fella as a duo. I remember it was packed, and the Newcastle Knights was there, Andrew Johns, we just had the whole crowd,
Cool.
and then the power went out at the pub, and me and Crooksy, we just looked at each other and just smiled and just went, "We're doing a cappella." So we just got up on our chairs with the acoustics and just got the crowd singing.
Oh, that's
And
awesome. Fantastic.
and you just sort of work out what's good and obviously, what's not good. I've had plenty of dud gigs. You go, don't want to ever
Well,
play that, do that again, or
well, you learn, I guess, don't you?
oh, you gotta, you really, you gotta. Oh, totally.
So, in those early years, there was some original music, but what kind of covers did you play? Was it like rock covers or easy listening or blues?
Great question. I've always played blues, and I think covers for me was not something that really come easy. And I think having played Melbourne, like it was like your originals or your covers, and I think because we were an original band and had some local success, we had a following down there enough to play some really good rooms, and I was sort of felt I wasn't ever going to go away and just then turn into a covers guy.
Right.
However, I did just have to learn on the go. Different scenes require different flavors, and
That's true.
yeah, I was doing sort of more like blues, rock covers, and just picking up the songs along the way, just clocking like certain places wanted a certain style, so I'd sit down and learn some of those songs if I was going back, or if I had some success that I could grow on. So
Yeah. Now, did you find, you mentioned about, oh, okay, so a certain venue might want you to do, I don't know, Lionel Richie, I don't know. And just for
yeah,
example, now you probably wouldn't normally listen to that. How hard was it, or was it easy, for you to then go away and learn a couple of his songs?
it's one of those things where a lot of the songs or places I'd play and have some sort of success with, it was all derivative off the blues anyway. So
Of
say,
course, yep.
give you an example. Say Steve Miller Band, they're 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 all like blues-based songs, really.
Yep.
Like as the technical term 145, but it's got a different feel or a bit more of a rocky edge or a soft rock. There's a flavour going through it.
Yes, yep.
Um, and so it wasn't that hard. I think just taking the time to go, well, what are the songs that would be best suited for me to put myself into those more.
Yeah.
And so I was like, looking at songs like Steve Miller Band, Van Morrison,
Mm-hmm.
Eagles,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, and making some fun out of different sing-along songs. Kenny Rogers I remember I was like thinking, what am I doing singing Kenny Rogers? But I just fell in love with vocal phrasing, the
Yep.
Gambler, and
Yep.
and the lyrics. I'm like, it works. So let's just have fun.
You know,
Yeah,
the amount of country or regional shows that we've done, and every single time someone will ask for the Gambler.
it's
Every
it's
time.
it, it's a schooling of our I guess that heritage of the entertainment, what influence overseas music's had on us, and singing along and the moments people have had. That's what they want to relive.
That's right. You're 100% right. People, yeah, that's exactly what they do and what they want because the music takes them back. And,
Totally.
you know, there's nothing more nostalgic than somebody who's had one or two.
Oh, you know, those good times are influenced off you. But you know, I had nights where I was tired of playing the same stuff as well. You know, and there's that after exhaustion that it's real.
Yes.
Um, and I just I didn't want to have a day job, and I didn't want to. I just knew I just wanted to play, and I've had the skills to do it. But you know, you run a business. You know, sometimes you're doing 6 gigs a week, and then the others in doing only a few. And um, yeah, you got to do what you do. But you know, I feel grateful for the quieter times where the artistic flow has been able to create albums and songs that really mean something. You know.
That's right, and you do have to have downtime. Now, before we go any further, because I have still many questions. You have sent me a couple of your singles. Now, the first one I'd like to play for the listeners is called "Be Like Water." Now, would you like to tell everybody what that's a little bit about, please?
Sure. So Be Like Water wrote itself pretty quick. And not all songs write themselves quick with me, but this did. I had a pretty profound conversation with my sister in COVID. She was going through a nasty divorce.
Oh,
And
poor thing.
yeah, she was just finding some things really hard, and we've always had a really quite earthy, spiritual sort of talk about things through hard times, and I'd been reading a book Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote about the Tao Te Ching, the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching, and I literally that day before speaking to my sister said, "There's this verse that talks about be like water," where I think a lot of us would remember Bruce Lee talking about how water becomes the glass, and
Yes.
it moves, it goes with what is. And we were speaking about that, and she just found a lot of comfort with that talk, and off the back of that, you know, got into that book. But that following day, it was during lockdowns,
Yeah.
and the song just come forth. So I think I was feeling pent up like everybody else with this not being able to go anywhere and stresses with what was going on, and wrote that song, and then that got recorded, and Buckety's Brewery in the Northern Beaches loved the song that much. They said, "We're going to make a beer for you with this, and that'll help."
Now, isn't that a great story? That's a
Yeah.
fantastic story. So I think we might pause a little moment here and let's listen to Be Like Water.
When things are hard
well, Greg. I really love that song. It's very meaningful, and for it to be written in a short amount of time, it feels to me like it would have taken ages to write. So I think you have something special and a special understanding of words, of lyrics, of meanings, and of how the guitar weaves it all together.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's a gift, isn't it, to be able to play music? It's just,
Oh, look,
so thankful.
it certainly is. So you mentioned about that particular track come all of a sudden, and there's some that don't come very easily at all.
Yeah.
For me, I wrote a song yesterday or this morning. Might have been
cool.
yesterday. I'll lie
Yeah.
in bed, 4:00 in the morning, and I just go, oh, that's some song lyrics. And I just get my phone out and I just write it down. And within 3 minutes, there's a song there and I can hear exactly how it's supposed to be played.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
I'm a strong believer that when things like that happen, like we're like a radio station, and we're receiving it, and it's that
100%.
creativity's got to be put down on paper or put through in the groove or melody, and allow the process. It's so important. That sounds really cool. Like that, I love that when that happens. It's so cool.
Oh, yeah, look, the first blues song that I wrote, because this was a blues song, the first one that I wrote, I was on the way to the doctor's and I'm going, oh, because I'm hearing it in my head, oh, there's some lyrics to a song. And I'm like, what? So anyway, I've got to the doctor's and she's like, oh, you want to book in? I'm like, oh, yeah, but just hang on a sec, because I was writing down the lyrics.
Oh, that's so funny.
So when I come out of there, I rang my husband and I said, oh, I've just written a song. And he said, well, hurry up and we'll have a listen and see what we can do with it. And we performed it that night at the Jam out at Coogee when it was out there.
No
And I
way.
thought,
Could
oh,
you
yeah,
be?
yeah. So to go from a 3 minute, yep, just got to write it down, to, yep, we know how this is going to go, and to perform it, and it played perfectly. And it's just like, that's how it's meant to be.
That's so cool. That's really cool that you had the conviction to go, we're doing it tonight, and you got your ducks lined up to do it. Like that,
That's kind of me though. I don't like wait around for anything. I just go like, I'm doing it, and that's that.
great. That's such a good quality to have. Good on you.
It is, and good on you too for writing something so beautiful. And what strikes me also is that how you helped your sister through her hard time.
Yeah, I think that's it's what a lot of music's about. It's we've got to remember that we're elevating and taking people on a ride with their emotions, and telling stories. And I think it's humbling.
It certainly is, yes.
I remember hearing recently that Bob Dylan in an interview was saying he didn't know, he couldn't explain how he wrote those songs. He said, I couldn't write songs like that now. And it was just interesting. It's freaking Bob Dylan, right? Like, what do you mean? And he's going, it was a special time that I was the envelope to these stories, these messages, these lyrics, these songs.
Absolutely. And what has always, and I've said this before, it's always struck me about Bob Dylan is that he could just sing like 20 verses of a song without any prompting. He just had them there, and he would repeat them, like play them over and over, and it's just like, where is that coming from? So whenever we do a song that's, originally from Bob Dylan, I go, it's not Bob Dylan's version. We'd be here all night, mate.
Oh, so true.
It is, but what a genius, eh?
What a genius.
But
what a genius.
not the best singer, but what a genius.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, right.
And he brought that to us, as with so many other musicians, and yourself included, that you know, as you said, being the conduit for this, for these words and this
Yes.
meaningful conversations that we're having with the universe, and we're
Yeah.
then sharing them. There's got to be something special in that, I think.
Oh, so special. Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now during COVID, that was a really hard time being a professional musician and really not having a day job, so to speak, of being musicianship
Yes.
is your day job. How did
Yes.
you cope? Because one day we were gigging, then the next it was just all taken away from us. So,
Yeah. It was pretty full on. I think. Uh, Look, I had a business doing training consulting for companies, helping middle management drive engagement with their people, and my music was still every weekend as well. But when the second lockdown, I converted everything to digital for my clients. But I thought, if we're going to get locked down again, it's not going to look good. And so with that form of income and the music, wasn't good there for a bit. I think a lot of us, were just putting on a brave face, but
oh,
um,
we all struggled, that's for sure.
we all
I think
struggled,
everybody struggled. And
totally.
I can't quite believe that that's happened in my lifetime.
I know it does. It feels like another lifetime. I but on the same thing, I think off the back of COVID, I decided to go back 2 feet into full-time music, and off the success of a, a program I was running off to Facebook and YouTube called Good Afternoon, which was a music show, and I had friends dialing in on the screen as well. I'm not sure if you use StreamYard at all. It's a really great platform.
I have done for my psychic
Yeah,
stuff, so, but not for the
yeah,
music, no.
and it worked really well and was getting a lot of hits, and that's what I was doing. I just thought this feels right, and so when the music come back into play, it was like bang. Instead of just 3 gigs a weekend, I was doing 6, 7 gigs. A couple of even up to 8 gigs a week.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
fantastic, isn't it?
yeah,
Did you
yeah.
did you take that time in lockdown to write more, or were the creative juices flowing, or no?
Well, we did, and we actually finished our album in lockdown. We thankfully had beds down, but we all got Logic on out and set up home recording setup,
Mm-hmm.
and we finished the album, which, funnily enough, a lot of the tracking for Be Like Water was done in my little homemade studio, um, which is which is great. So yeah, absolutely. I think you know when you're locked down, you go inward, right? You go into that sanctuary inside
Yes.
to fire up those creative creative juices that we've all got.
And I think it was a little bit of a reset too for, if you're doing 6, 8, 10 shows a week, at some
Mm,
point you need a bit of a rest,
totally, totally.
So even though it was quite stressful, excuse me, I do believe that it did help us all in that way because we had no
Absolutely.
option but to rest.
And I think you're absolutely right. And I think the Great Resignation was a lot of off the back of that. People were just resetting, going, you know what? I'm not going back to this office job anymore. I'm not doing this
Exactly.
anymore. I'm doing something. It's like this empowerment come back.
Yes.
That's been quite liberating. I think a lot of people who've perhaps resisted to the opportunity would probably be feeling it now. I wish I had the opportunity. I should have, would have, could have, But
Yeah, absolutely. I have heard people say that actually. They're like, oh, I wish we had lockdown again because I just need a rest and I wouldn't have gone back to work and I wouldn't have done this and I wouldn't have done that. I would have done this. Well,
yeah,
yeah, like, yes. Now, it was it during lockdown that you did muso mastery.
Yes, it come to mind. I was toying with the idea of like, I've been doing corporate training for so many years,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I've been doing music for like, 30 years.
Mm.
Like, why don't I use my skills in coaching and training to perhaps help people? And it really only took more of a shape when I was been running a blues jam that started out of Surrey Hills, Bad Mamas, capacity 40 people.
Mm,
And the
mm.
boat shed, it was, 60, 80 people there weekly. And then it's grown now to over 100 people for this monthly jam at the Crow's Nest. But I found through doing that, a lot of musicians who I'd consider need to be playing a lot more than they are, just perhaps weren't for a number of different reasons. And I kind of think that as musicians, we need to be able to help each other as like a apprenticeship, always
100%, 100%.
helping people up to bring them into different pockets that they've perhaps not been performing in, or you yourself been brought into certain areas of playing that you could further yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the whole I guess process and way of thinking that I've been developing for muso mastery is to help musicians up their game, not necessarily just in their music or their performance, which that it still does, but it's also the art of being an independent musician, what
Yeah.
it takes to have the mindset to hustle, to talk to people appropriately, to get opportunities and playing gigs, to tour, to play festivals, to get paid properly, to
Yeah.
get and so that's where it all come from. Yeah, it was off the back of putting both feet back into the music, seeing that there's opportunity to help people
Yeah.
with the experience. And the first intake's been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And literally in the next short while, I'll be taking on more
Mm-hmm.
who are interested to look and learn and be part of a small growing community of musicians upping their game in the music game.
That's fantastic. So, do you do one-on-one or you do like a workshop scenario? How does it
Yeah,
work?
yeah. So it's a good question. It's coaching based, one-on-one coaching based, and there's online coaching. There's an online program with 6 different modules that take you through one, where you're at with your music. What do you need what sort of thinking and way of working do you need to get yourself aligned to have success. The second part, 2 modules, is around creating your package,
Mm-hmm.
and we help work one-on-one with that as well, to then getting yourself playing the shows. We help curate artists into playing and looking at forward thinking and planning as to what it's going to look like for you as a musician in your style and field of what you wish to be doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you're doing all genres of music?
Yep. Anyone who's like, it's early days yet. I mean, it's the coaching base is like, oh, all right, well, where is it that you'd like to go? Where are you now? Where would you like to go? And solving those problems or roadblocks that artists have
Yes.
to move yourself into tangible results. So, yeah,
Do you feel,
that's it.
yeah, do you feel as though many musicians are their own worst enemy because, yes, they can play, but they maybe undersell themselves, or they don't know how to, even with coaching, maybe they don't know how to sell their product, sell their brand, because
Totally.
a lot
Yeah.
of people think that, oh, you just get up there and play. Well, it's not like that at all. You actually have to have a brand. You've got to be able to sell yourself
Yeah.
to the venue or to the person that you're dealing with, to get gigs. So if you're not good at that but can play, well, it's kind of a big package. Are you finding that there's a lot of that?
Totally. I think it's trying to make sense of the chaos of art.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the play basket for a kid, right,
Mm-hmm.
they love to play, and you look at their basket, it's like, oh my God, you got Lego in here, you've got balls, you've got all sorts of stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you just sort of unpack that and you go, all right, well, let's just put this in order so when another kid comes in, they can see what the opportunity is here.
Yes.
And so by doing that, it's just going, oh, gee, you notice what your style is, what you're doing here? You've got a certain amount of these songs, you've got a certain amount of that. They can come together, but if you add another little element here, this is how your package could look. And having that objectivity, that, that perhaps outside window looking in, that can really help give you as an artist that, oh my God, I haven't even thought of that. This is right, okay.
Yeah, that's
And
really great. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
just making sense of the chaos of being an artist to getting some sort of a structure that can make sense where you can go, this is what I'm about, or this is adding some elements that you perhaps haven't considered, that it's not reinventing the wheel, it's actually working, doubling down on the good things that you've got,
Yep.
can then help paint that picture, clearer picture as to then, as you say, sell yourself. You can go to a particular venue and go, this is what we do, and this is how many people we could bring to the night, and knowing the right things to say
Yes.
to get different results.
That's exactly right. And it only sometimes takes the wrong word and you don't get looked at.
It is,
Not being able
yeah.
to project what it is, precisely what it is you do. That's a big part of being a musician as well.
And I relate that too. Is when you're talking to me about covers, it's a bit of it's internally trying to work out what it is, and you sometimes don't feel like you're clear on something for months and years, and that's fine. But I wished when I was 19, 20 that I had someone that would come along and just help make sense of some things and give that support. And
That's for sure, yeah.
the opportunity is now for artists to get that out there.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the success with that, and I know you will be successful.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your jam out at Crow's Nest. I believe that's on the first Sunday of every month.
That's right.
So,
yeah, from 4 till 7 on the first Sunday of each month. Yeah, Crow's Nest Hotel.
Crow's Nest Hotel. I was just going to say, where exactly is it, so that people can find that out. Now, these different things we've been talking about, how can the listeners contact you, or is there a website for this, or a Facebook page for this, or should they just rock up to the Crow's Nest Hotel? And
yeah, great question. Look, you can absolutely rock up on the day to the Crow's Nest Hotel, first Sunday of each month, and the next one would be the Sunday, the 5th of November, and then we've got Sunday, the 3rd of December. If you missed that November one, you can look me up on Facebook, Greg Nunan, Nunan, and you'll see me wearing a flannelette shirt with a Stratocaster in hand. That's me.
yeah.
Or you can reach out to me via musomastery.pro.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'd hope that you had something special for that. So that's
Yeah.
perfect. So what I'll do is I'll grab those links off you and I'll insert them to the description of the interview, and that way people can just click on them and
Absolutely.
they'll be taken straight to you.
Yeah, make contact and look at it, and I know I've pitched a program that's commercial, but if you have anything that you need help with, just reach out, because I'm helping a lot of artists that aren't necessarily in the musician masterclass program. So please do reach out. Let's get you amongst the great musicians that we've got in the community to have a play at the Crow's Nest Hotel. So you can find me via that website or Facebook or Instagram at Greg Nunan. You'll find my handle.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll get that link as well there and put it in at the end. Now, I want to take just this moment so that we can listen to the second single that you've sent me, and that's a beautiful ballad called Our World. Would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. I received in the mail a notice from APRA looking for musicians, calling of arms for musicians to write the next Qantas song. And we're all singing Call Australia Home, Peter Allen song, right?
Yep.
But they were wanting, it was a new campaign, and I half wrote a song, and then I got the opportunity to play over in Singapore for the first time,
Wow.
which is incredible. That was incredible itself. My first night jamming with Deep Purple.
Oh,
I didn't know what was.
what?
Yeah, it was incredible. So I was fully inspired off that, and the whole experience of being overseas playing. And I thought I'm not going to staple myself down as this song just for Australia. And I thought I'm going to write a song about a world with no borders, which is what the song's about. It's called Our World. Yeah,
Beautiful.
So
well, we'll take a moment now and we will listen to Our World.
A dream in mind. The borders of this world stop to divide. People travel by boat to a distant land. People's welcome with an open hand. Welcome, welcome home, where the borders of this world have gone. It's our world, it's our home, it's our world, it's our home. Time and foreign currency, it's a smile. Giving our love, all we talk for a while. Flying by plane to a distant land. People's welcome with an open hand. Welcome, welcome home, where the borders of this world have gone. It's our world, it's our home, it's our world, it's our home. where the borders of this world have gone. Welcome, welcome home, yeah, where the borders of this world have gone. It's our world, it's our home, yeah, it's our world, it's our home, it's our world, it's our home.
Well, Greg, I really have to congratulate you on your writing skills and your playing skills. You're very, very, very talented. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Crystal. Thank you.
You're welcome. You really are. Now, having done so many gigs, I'm sure you've got a funny story or two or an interesting story or two.
Yeah.
Would you like to share something with us?
There's one particular one that I hadn't told this story until recently. It's pretty embarrassing. I so I was going to be doing a couple of shows down in Melbourne. I was meeting the band down in Manly. We're going to get cabs to the airport, and I was running late. And my idea was just going to jump in my ute, which there's a song called Diesel 86 which tells a story about this ute. It did 1 million kilometres. It was a rust bucket. It was an old diesel Hilux.
Right.
Anyway, threw the gear down, went down to Manly. The idea to park it down in the car park down there, you know, you got 2-hour limit, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing was, once I get down there, I'd call my wife just to say, when you come home, can you just make sure you get the car out of there and whatnot. So we end up going to the airport and everything like that. But I didn't call Lizzie.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, I get back and I'm, need to use the car to go do something. And I get out and I'm like, where's my car? Well, my car was parked. My car was parked in the street. Where is it? I must have parked it around the corner. Where it's not there. Where? This is weird. Anyway, couldn't find it anywhere. It was like, this is ridiculous. We called the police, who made a report, described the vehicle. They took face to face, taking the details. Right, okay, we're going to put a search out for it. Don't worry, if we pick up anything, we'll let you know. And I'd actually had an actual car years ago stolen and torched, so it wasn't a nice feeling. It felt like I was reliving it. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? Anyway, so literally 3 weeks after all that, I went down to Manly in our second car and parked it down in the garage. Drove in, I saw the car, and I burst out laughing because it all came back to me.
And it was in the garage.
It was in the carport, like the carport, the Woolies, the Coles car park, and I was like embarrassed and laughed. I was by myself when this happened. And I called Lizzie and we were just laughing, going, "Oh my God, this is, you idiot!" And so I had to get it out. I had to get it out of the car park, and obviously, and I was thinking, this is going to be exorbitant, this fee.
I was just thinking that.
I got to the gate and I pressed the buzzer and I said, I'm just trying to work this out because I've left my car in overnight.
All right.
Trying to do the right thing. I had a few drinks with my mates and didn't, and it's like $300. Like, what this is not, and they're like, oh no, only one night? Yeah, why? I talked my way out of it, and they said, "Okay, all right, look, just pay the minimum. This is what it'd be." And it was something like $50.
Yeah.
I paid it,
Oh,
and
gee, you got out of that pretty good.
I got out of that.
Yeah.
So
What about a story from a gig, something that was funny that happened at a gig? Because we spoke about earlier about regional areas, and I love regional areas. They're my favourite
yeah,
thing. But,
yeah.
they can be rowdy.
I've got one. Funny looking back at it now, but it was pretty nerve wracking. Played Singleton's pub. I'm trying to remember the name of the pub, but it was right on the train line where the coal miners finished work got off, and we had to play 6 a.m. sharp. So I got this agent called me up, said, "You guys, want you guys to play this gig? You need to start 6 a.m. sharp." Oh, what? Really? Yeah, it's a 6 a.m. miners gig. Anyway, sure enough, we've set up, ready to go. Started at 6 a.m. On the dot, like the miners just come bursting through the doors, just getting the booze in them, double fisting with the schooners of new, and they had party pies and everything brought out, and it was party time. That so it was, I know, right? It was,
love it.
It was 0 to 100 right at 6 a.m. and I thought we were just looking at each other, going, "This is interesting." And we floored it, and it was a full on party. But then there was a punch up.
There we go.
There was a punch up, and I felt like I was in the Blues Brothers. We just kept going. We just didn't stop. We didn't stop.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So
you didn't have a cage around you, though.
No. We could have done with some chicken wine, but there was none there.
Did you at any point fear for your safety in case they come barreling towards you?
Yeah, well, there was no particular stage. It was just like on the good old jerk, put them in the corner. But we were looking at each other, just going, just keep going, because the worst thing you can do is to stop. They reckon, like,
no, don't
if
stop.
you can keep some sort of calm energy, it just, you're like the calm in the whole scene. And
that would have been fabulous. Oh dear,
I'll never forget it. It was like, what the hell? I felt like I was in a weird movie, like a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Full tilt at 6 a.m.
It sounds like one, doesn't it? It sounds, that sounds fabulous.
Yeah, so that was funny. Yeah.
Oh dear. So what's coming up for you? I also happen to know that sometimes you accompany Fran Little, Big Mama, on her radio program.
Yes. Big Mama on Eastside Radio every third Thursday. I know it's a hard one to remember, but we put it out on our socials, and she just started doing it and got me in as a guest. She said, "Oh my God, we just had so much fun." She said, "Why don't you consider, joining me for these radio programs? As we'll do it together."
Fabulous, fabulous.
And so it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, that's good. And as long as things are fun, just keep doing them, I reckon.
Totally, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
So, Greg, what is the best live act or show you've ever seen? And this can include overseas artists as well as Australian.
Oh, that's a really good question. There's a number of different acts, but I think one that I saw recently that I think is one of Australia's best three-piece acts, and they hadn't been playing shows for a while, and these guys have played a lot of gigs, and they ended up getting into the top 40 over in America. The band called Chase the Sun.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Chase the Sun, they're amazing.
They've just got something going on that they're like obviously just red hot players. But the synergy of this three piece, between Jans, guitar and singing. Howler on the drums, like just with such John Bonham vibes, and Ryan Van Gennep on the bass, who's an absolute weapon.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it was great to see them. It was like a couple of weekends ago.
Yes,
They
yes.
they played Tony Cheney's Blues Explosion
Yes, they did,
boat cruise
yes.
on the harbour. It was fantastic.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself as a guitarist, do you find when you're going to watch another guitarist play in their band, do you find yourself watching their fingers to see what they're doing and going, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, gee, how are they doing that? Do you kind of watch to see their preparation and their take on things?
Totally, 100%. I mean, that's people go, oh, what sort of training have you had? And I've never really had formal training other than just going to watch others play and just watching their hands and going, oh, right, that's what you're doing. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed about me going to gigs and watching is the first players I watch is the drummers. I watch the drummer first. Like it just
Right.
really,
Yep.
and then the guitar player's got to really pull my ear, and they do. And I'll really get into that.
Yeah.
But it sort of comes back to, and then again, I mean, you know, we see so many bands over the years, and there's still a lot of bands out there that don't have a great drummer, and it's just like, oh god, it's just
Yeah,
yeah,
they're the kind of the beating heart of the band, really,
totally,
because nobody wants a drummer that speeds up or slows down
yeah.
or does weird rolls in weird places, you know.
It does weird things for yourself and an audience, doesn't it? It's like
It
it's
does.
uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, like a pebble in your shoe, right?
Yeah, as a vocalist, I find that if I happen upon a drummer that's, does a weird roll somewhere that I'm not expecting it, then it
Mm.
kind of gives me a bit of a fright and I might miss a cue. I'm better with that because
Totally.
now I've experienced that
Yes,
some,
yes,
at times
yes,
that, I know what to expect from certain drummers.
yes,
And yeah, but I feel they've got they're the beating heart, so they have to be,
totally,
exact with their timing and not do anything too outrageous,
totally. But
that you're
doesn't
not
it's got
expecting.
yeah, it really is the most powerful instrument in the band, isn't it? When you think of it
Yeah,
like that, when it suddenly can throw the vocalist off, let alone everything else.
everybody else, that's right. And the bass player too, I find, needs to be at a certain level
Hmm.
because they drive it,
Totally.
So nobody wants a bass player playing too quiet, or too loud. They've got to be just that right mix where
It's
everybody can, and it's a real fine balancing act, isn't it?
it's finite. It really is. I always think of might have read it somewhere where in India, like musicians are revered like say doctors are here in the Western world. That takes 40 years to be at a point where you're accomplished being a musician for
Wow.
these sorts of things. It's really finite, the working of a band.
Yeah.
You think of how many bands are out every weekend playing, and how many bands do half well, and it takes so much.
It
Then
does.
we're not even talking then about the politics in a band on how to operate it and round us up like cats.
No, that might get a bit sticky because
Oh my god!
I have certain views. Let's just say that.
Oh my god! We need to interview you. I think we need to get the questions pointing the other way.
I'd probably get myself in trouble. I can imagine. That's for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, where's
So,
our get out of trouble clause here? Yeah.
so, Greg, you have the General Jacksons. So, how long have you had that band together, or this band together, I should say?
Oh, that's a good question. The first album was in 2015. I had a deal through a boutique jingle house. So the main director there, they were doing jingles for all sorts of big ads, and he was asked by another guitarist or another band that looking for a guitarist, and he come across my stuff and loved it that much. He offered me free recording, and that's how this album.
Wow.
It was a bit of a deal.
Awesome. Yep.
So off the back of that, I had to pull the band together to tour it, and that's where the Gentle Jacksons come out. So 2015. Yeah, what, sort of
Perfect.
8 years?
That's a long while.
Yeah.
That's really good. Now, a really good question is: have you found in the albums and the songs that you've written from when you were younger, of course, and then as you've matured and grown older, have you seen the depth of your songs change?
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Change in a number of different ways. So, like there's complexity of, choice of lyrics and storytelling to different styles of music I was listening to at the time, probably influencing more structure and tones. But it's an interesting journey. It's like, sometimes you hear an old song and you go, oh, wow. Oh, geez, I'm playing that different now. There's these nuances that have come into play. And it's just, just giving a slightly different tilt to certain areas of a particular song.
Yeah, I think that's very important as a songwriter and a guitarist or, pianist or whatever, that you should always be striving to improve
Yes.
and add to what you have already done.
Yes.
It never pays to sit on your laurels, that's for sure.
Absolutely. No, I think I'm one of those musicians that's always tinkering. It's like, I guess, like my father was with different cars, you always sort of under the bonnet tinkering, trying to, it's never.
Perfect it.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I guess this is why I couldn't understand hearing Mark Knopfler one day say he couldn't stand to listen to Brothers in Arms because it just
Interesting.
didn't like. Yeah, it is. I was like, dude, some absolute masterpieces on that album. I don't understand. But I guess, maybe if you have these massive leaps of development or changes in course of playing or viewing music, then I could understand that. Maybe that's what the case was with him.
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
think you've done exceptionally well over your career, Greg, and I wish you all the best with your jam out at the Crow's Nest Hotel there, with your Musos Mastery course, and
Thank
of
you.
course, writing and performing, and of course, recording your songs. Do you have any new albums coming out or new singles coming out?
Funnily, this week we're having a talk about a blues album. Just going to get the rails down for that, so that'll be happening for next year. So keep an eye out for that, but no firm date yet. I've got a bunch of songs that need to be recorded, and we'll add to those and find a date to release for next year.
Well, that'd be fabulous, and I am hereby inviting you back when you're due for the release so that we can talk about your album and promote it some.
Well, please do, and I just want to say thank you for doing what you do. It's so important for the music and musicians like myself who, it's a lifelong journey, and to have people like yourself that can help be a conduit to facilitate, stories and and inspiration. And we've just got to say thank you again. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's very humbling. Thank you. I think on that note, Greg, we might leave it for this evening. So I'm going to get all those links from you and put them in the description of the interview so that people can contact you, and let's get these things going more for you. And I really look forward to running into you at a gig somewhere and speaking with you again on here.
Oh, thank you, Crystal. Thanks again. And thank you, everyone who's listened in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. All right then. Good night. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Greg Nunan from Greg Nunan and the General Jacksons. Thank you for joining me again this evening, listeners. Please tune in next week when I have another fabulous guest for you. And until then, please stay safe, stay happy, stay cool, stay awesome. And please stay tuned to this channel. Good night.